Summers on the east coast of the United States are oppressive. The humidity, fused with heat rising from the asphalt, makes it hard to breathe. But people are used to this sticky warmth. In Harvard Square, students soothe themselves with lemonade as they listen to the music of street performers. The heartbeat of the city continues as always. Yet, at a small branch of the low-cost market basket in Somerville, what begins as an ordinary day is about to turn into a dark moment buried in history. There is one man in the store who stands out. Tall, fit, with neatly parted black hair. Benjamin Netanyahu. At that moment in time, he is an unknown face of Israel. Not yet a prime minister, not even a minister. He's only 26, doing his graduate studies in international relations at MIT. But the confident expression on his face gives away what he'll one day become: calculating, strategic, and ruthless. As Netanyahu walks through the aisles, he notices a boy standing alone near the dairy section. About 9 or 10 years old, skinny, olive-skinned, his curly hair disheveled. He's wearing a dirty white t-shirt and staring fixedly at the market entrance. There's no sign of his family. The boy's name is Yusuf. He came to the store with his mother. His father is several blocks away, dealing with paperwork at a refugee aid office. His mother had told him to wait near the aisles while she used the restroom. But it's been 20 minutes. She's vanished. Netanyahu approaches the boy. A calculated smile appears on his face, and that's where it all begins. "Hey there, little guy," he says in a soft voice. "You lose someone?" Yusuf steps back, but there's nowhere to run. Netanyahu kneels down to meet him at eye level. "Don't be scared. I'm Benjamin. I want to help. We can find your family together, okay?" Yusuf nods. He doesn't fully understand what's happening, but something deep inside him whispers that something is wrong. Still, fear muffles that instinct. He reaches for Netanyahu's outstretched hand. And in that moment, fate fractures. As they walk toward the store's exit, Netanyahu catches sight of a patrol car waiting outside. Moments earlier, he had made an anonymous call from the phone booth inside. He asked to remain unidentified. An Arab-looking family may have entered the country with forged documents. They have a child with them. Could pose a threat. I'm reporting this as an Israeli security consultant. Netanyahu carries with him a special document issued through family diplomatic ties. His father, Benjamin Netanyahu, is a significant figure in Israel and has arranged certain privileges for his son. With this document, Netanyahu can provide authorities with relevant information, and in that era's political climate, tips about Muslim or foreign-looking families are taken seriously and fast. As they step outside, Yusuf hears his mother's trembling voice calling out, sobbing, "Yusuf, my son, Yusuf." As officers inspect the document Netanyahu provides, Yusuf tries to run toward his mother. But Netanyahu holds him back, gripping his arm and pushing him toward the officers. "This child is theirs," he says coldly. "But I'm not sure their documents are valid. As a diplomatic observer, I had to report it. I overheard them speaking Arabic." The police begin detaining the woman. Her desperate pleas to Netanyahu go unheard. Yusuf, confused and frightened in the arms of an older officer, barely processes what's happening when Netanyahu leans down and whispers in his ear, "You don't deserve a life this beautiful." Everything unfolds rapidly. The woman and her husband are handed over to the FBI. Yusuf is placed under the care of the Massachusetts Child Welfare Unit. A few weeks later, the child is deported as well. The family is classified as undocumented migrants with fraudulent documentation and sent to Jordan. From there, they are transferred to a Palestinian refugee camp. The incident is logged in official records as a brief note, tucked away in obscure files seen only by a handful of bureaucrats. Following an anonymous tip, the family was placed under surveillance. Possible security risks are being evaluated. The witnesses disappear. The file is closed. But in Yusuf's memory, that day and that sentence echo for decades. You don't deserve a life this beautiful. Years pass. Benjamin Netanyahu completes his education at MIT and returns to Israel. He works with the military, then with intelligence, then enters diplomacy. He climbs the ranks in the Likud party, becomes a minister, and eventually prime minister. For him, the world transforms, but every rise to power begins with a moment of clarity, and for Netanyahu, that moment was in a Boston supermarket. That day, he tested his power. He learned how to manipulate systems, bureaucracy, and language. In the early 2000s, one of his advisors, journalist Amos Tal, recalls a strange conversation. He once told me, "That's where I tasted power for the first time. I separated a child from his mother. No one questioned me, because I used the right words. Security, threat, documents. Those words were magic." Yusuf stays silent for decades. But every Netanyahu interview, every summit appearance, stirs something deep within him. Over time, he builds a new life under a different name, establishing an academic career in Washington, eventually gaining U.S. citizenship. But he never denies his past. Deep down, he learns to live with it. In 2045, he makes a decision and requests access to archived documents, old immigration files, police reports, FBI memos, child welfare records, everything. The system moves slowly, but eventually, one document arrives. Dated 1976, the Market Basket Incident. The individual who reported the family presented diplomatic credentials, claimed prior knowledge of the individuals, and stated that they posed a national security concern. As Yusuf reads the report, his hands tremble. The words feel like a wound reopening, a whisper in his skull. You don't deserve a life this beautiful. In 2047, Yusuf releases a documentary titled The Undeserving. It recounts his story, his family's deportation, and Netanyahu's role. The film makes waves globally. It earns awards at international festivals. It streams on platforms like Netflix, but it is banned in Israel. A year later, at The Hague, during a human rights trial, the documentary is submitted as evidence. Netanyahu is called to testify, "I simply reported a suspicion. I did not initiate the legal process. I acted according to my diplomatic responsibilities." Yusuf speaks at the hearing. "That day, you tried to erase us, because we didn't look like you. But I'm still here. And this court, this room, is where the stories you wanted forgotten now live. Today, I return your words to you. You don't deserve a life this beautiful." The chamber falls into silence. Court records later describe it as a historically significant moment of psychological reckoning. This was a cold, quiet chapter in Benjamin Netanyahu's past, the first time he wielded power, the moment he cast himself as judge and jury in a child's life, a dark beginning, fed by a child's tears and a man's hunger for control. And every darkness begins with one man's first choice. This was his.